Hi Gina.
Hi Ione. Hi everyone. I'm Gina, the senior editor of Polyester.
And I'm Ione, the founding editor-in-chief of Polyester, and this is the Polyester Podcast, a feminist pop culture podcast dissecting the discourse on a weekly basis.
And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to our membership platform for exclusive podcast-centered perks. We're offering exclusive video episodes, secret mini episodes, and even episodes centered on what you want us to talk about across different tier options. Go check it out at the link in our description. And if you haven't yet, please make sure to like, rate, subscribe, and review. Do we have any reviews, Ione?
We do. This is one that is 5 stars from Lowell Pole in the United Kingdom. Authentic and real. Love every episode. Feels like real conversation about topics people often sheep together on. Thank you. And then on Spotify, this is on last week's episode from Stevie. Wow, this was such an insightful episode and really made me think about the media I was consuming as a teenager back in the Tumblr days. As always, beautifully articulated and very well handled. Claps to you both. Love the podcast so much. It's the highlight of my week. Fuck Liv Schmidt and her skinny society. Long live Polyester. XOX. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Grayson, also on Spotify, says, hard to relate as a 16-year-old. Wellness culture, especially for me, men's gym culture is really messing everyone up, and that change has been so tangible in the last few years. Balance seems to be thrown out the window. Thanks for a lovely episode where you snapped me out of a weird health wellness funk I've been in, which was very lovely.
Is Grayson 16?
Yeah.
You're
What?
very wise, Grayson, to be listening to this kind of stuff when you're 16.
Very wise, very wise.
I certainly was nay.
So what were we talking about today?
Today we're talking about plastic surgery, how there's been like a proliferation of facelifts in Hollywood by a new surgeon.
Hollywood!
And then also this week, Kylie Jenner's been on TikTok talking about her tits.
Seems like a few new surgeons. Or new type of surgery as well.
Yeah, I think it probably is a mix of new type of surgery and maybe 3 people who know how to do it.
So I think if you've been on the internet, you've probably seen Kris Jenner's new facelift, which is a good place to start. So Kris had a facelift and she kind of, debuted it during the trial for Kim getting robbed in Paris, which I also didn't realise Lauren Sanchez, who is Mrs. Amazon, had her bachelorette at the same time. So like they're all in Paris doing both.
That's quite nice.
That's crazy.
Well, it's like, why only have the bad? To have a good time as well?
Lauren Sanchez is also famously very plastic surgeoned.
What was the meme? To be loved is to be changed.
To be loved is to be changed. So Kris has had a facelift. I first saw it in a reel on Instagram of just like someone filming them walking out a restaurant, Kris and Kim, and I was like, what the actual fuck? Kris looks insane. Like her face is completely different. She looks very, very young. And I think also why I was caught off guard with it was because I was watching like a fan film video. So like normally if I saw it on like an Instagram, like structured photo, I'd assume it was like Photoshop or Facetune or like a bit of all of the above. And we know that the Kardashians in particular are such like prolific face tuners that they even like Facetune their faces on the show and stuff like this. Like,
even the kids and all.
Even their kids. But I think the fact that I saw it as like a candid video made me be like, what the actual fuck? Everyone thinks she looks like him, but I actually think she looks more like Courtney.
Thing is, she's their mother.
No, I know. There is this there's this tweet by this Heidi person who loves to be on Twitter, Heidi N. Moore at MooreHN. It's great work, but we also need a psychologist to study why everyone in the family keeps getting surgery to look more like Kim. It's like, perhaps they are all just related.
The thing is, it might be that they have...
And they're all like conforming to the same standards, so they all end up looking the same.
So Kim doesn't look like Kim.
No, Kim doesn't look like a human. None of them look really like they're meant to.
Exactly, and to be like they're all trying to look like Kim, it's just like they're all trying to look like this ideal, and Kim has also done that. Like when you look at like pictures of her when she was younger,
yeah,
she doesn't really look like that anymore.
And I
thought we had all agreed on that.
Like Kim and Courtney in particular really look similar, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
To Kris.
Yeah.
And then so to add to that, Kylie seems to be kind of going through this image overhaul in which she's trying to be like a relatable woman of the people, probably because she's with Timothée Chalamet, like getting spotted at Coachella doing the apple dance, etc, 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 etc.
Being like a wag for the Knicks.
Yeah, exactly. And like liking comments on TikTok or like being active on TikTok. Basically, yeah, it's just trying to be like more relatable, not hated. Obviously, she got like loads of fierce hatred when her and Timothy were announced as a couple. But anyway, so is this Rachel Leary an influencer?
Yeah.
So Rachel Leary, a UK influencer, commented on one of her posts being like, or like made a video herself, I think, being like, oh, Kylie, can you just tell me what surgery you've had done on your tits? Like, they look amazing, blah, 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 blah. And then Kylie commented on it saying 445cc, moderate profile, half under the muscle, ! 5 times, silicone, ! Garth Fisher, silicone. No, why did I say silicone twice? Garth Fisher, ! Hope this helps, lol. And then Rachel Leary replied saying, this is why she's for the girls. Love you, thank you. And it's kind of ignited this debate and discourse that actually seemed to already be running across the internet somehow about shaving, which is crazy. Like, how did we get here?
Yeah, because we were originally like, maybe we should do this episode on shaving, and then Kylie did this and we were like, oh, it's actually more about like
choice feminism, yeah.
It's kind of running rampant through the Gen Z have only just discovered it or something.
Oh, it's so horrible. It makes me feel like such an old hag. I'm like, how did we get back to this point?
I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending.
So let's read some tweets out about Kylie, shall we? So one person called C Love Lena says, Kylie Jenner built $1 million empire off exploiting young girls' insecurities, lied about her lips for years, intentionally gaslighting an entire generation of kids. She'll never be the girl's girl you'll claim her to be. And then Isabella at IsabellaD_ says, Kylie Jenner and her whole family were in the lives and confidence of so many women and girls by putting forward these unrealistic beauty standards. I will never respect them. There is nothing to lol about. And then Lulu at Raven for Romhell says, I think it's very important that people realise that celebrities don't have an obligation to be role models, LMFAO. If you're feeling insecure because of millionaire Kylie Jenner, you shouldn't have access to the internet, which is crazy.
Yeah, people are so nasty.
Like, what the hell are you on about? Shouldn't have access to the internet.
Celebrities, they position themselves as role models, though. That's literally the role of an influencer.
That's literally how they make money. And also,
it's part of the parcel. I'm sorry, I hate when celebrities say that.
Yeah, I know, like, I'm not a role model, I'm just a person. It's like, well, don't be famous then.
Well, you're in the public eye and you're being consumed by everyone, so you do actually have to own up to the decisions you've made.
Also, a lot of this is like, we don't opt in to consuming KarJenner content. Like, it is just omnipresent. Like, it's not as if, I mean, a lot of people follow them, but for example, I unfollowed Kim a few months ago. I can't remember when or why, but something I was just like, this is enough. And I don't follow any of them anymore. I still see it everywhere.
Yeah, and also I don't opt into being insecure. I don't opt into seeing her through like a lens that makes me feel bad about myself.
No, exactly. I think this is where it's so brainworm, the take of it all. Like, it just divorces anything from like the plastic surgery as feminism or as like girls or as like whatever divorces. We have to divorce context from everything to make that make sense, like, which is what these discussions online do. Like, online feminism at the moment, not real feminism obviously, but people like, you know, in what's it called, like evoking the idea of feminism to make their own decisions seem better, is just like because they know it as a word on a t-shirt and don't understand it, and like have no, like, they don't want to understand it either because it doesn't serve them.
Well, I just think everyone's just gagging to justify their decisions through like a lens of making them seem like a good person. Like, they want to be like, I am a feminist, but I need to justify everything I do through a feminist lens to the wider public. But why do you actually owe that to anyone?
To make me not feel bad about myself.
Yeah, to make me not feel bad about the ways that I've caved in towards like patriarchal beauty standards. If I rephrase it through this lens that I have and I'm able to use, then I can make myself feel more better about like why I've done things. But the point of feminism isn't to make you feel better about your decisions.
No.
If anything, it's to make you feel worse.
Yeah.
That's the point of all praxis.
We're bad vibes feminists.
Yeah, like, we should all be guilt-ridden.
Yeah.
About being naughty. But like, also, you don't need, well, that's obviously like an exaggeration, but you don't even need to feel guilt-ridden. Like, you just have to be like accepting of the fact that in living under like a patriarchal society, sometimes you do things so that you can survive or feel better about yourself, and understanding that choice hasn't been made because you're a feminist, but maybe even in spite of your feminism, makes it all the more easier, like accepting the fault of your own decisions, I suppose.
I actually think I probably fall a bit on the bit more militant side than you on this conversation, in that I think we've been made to feel that cosmetic surgery is way more normalised than it actually is, and I didn't really realise it until I read this research. So there was an article on the BBC called "The Procedures Driving UK's Cosmetic Surgery Rise," written by Grace Dean and Michelle Roberts, and it was published on the 5th of May this year, which says that in 2024, there were 27,462 cosmetic procedures performed in the UK. To me, that seems shockingly small.
That's surgical though.
Yeah, but that's shockingly small. In scroll down, and then about the fillers, like non-surgical procedures like Botox and filler, that was even less, only 10,000. And this was 10,000 performed by people that are part of the British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons. So I understand that like the filler and Botox number might be a lot higher because people get them in like
all sorts of
strange places, but I do think that we've kind of been like duped into thinking that cosmetic surgery is so much more normalized than it actually is, because like we're on social media all the time consuming faces that have been tweaked like all the time, but really it's like our parents haven't necessarily, like my mum hasn't. Lots of people, when you're like in shops, like walking through the street, maybe we're slightly higher because of like where we live in London and all of that kind of stuff and the jobs we do, and it's even more normalized through that. But most people aren't getting this stuff done, and like these numbers prove it. Like 27,000 is such a tiny number of people that live in this country. What is the population of this country? Let me Google it.
Googling the population.
Because there's 68 million people in the UK and only 27,000 have got cosmetic surgery. But on Instagram, you'd think everyone has had something.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So therefore it makes it so like, it means that these very small group of people, celebrities, which has always been the case like throughout time, but it's at like a height that we haven't seen before due to how much media we're consuming all the time, are dictating everyone's beauty standards. When you consider it in that context, that there's such a small amount of people in the real world getting this stuff done, but it's so prevalent in all the media we read about, the stuff we talk about with our friends. Like everyone was talking about Kris Jenner's facelift for like 2 weeks. I was talking about it. How much it infiltrates our brain is so disproportionate to the actual effect it has on our lives.
Even like the knowledge that we have about it, like when Kylie like put down like the specificities of the work she's had done with her boobs, I already knew what half of that meant.
Yeah, same. It's like, why the fuck do I know what under the muscle means?
Yeah, or like half under the muscle. Why do I know the difference between silicone and not silicone? Why do I know? And that's the thing, like so many different types of surgery we just know loads about. Like I didn't know what blepharoplasty was, or that was what eyelid surgery was called until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it seems so much more prolific since then as well.
And now everyone knows what that's called, and it's the like, I don't know, the like, we are just expected to have so much, not expected, we just know so much about this stuff now because people are interested in it as well. Like you're naturally drawn to being like, oh, how are people improving themselves? How are people getting surgery? What is the surgery that people are getting? And like, how does that work? And like, what changes about them? And this is why celebrities look like this and not like me. Of course, you're going to be naturally interested in it, but then through learning more about anything does kind of make you feel more like sympathetic towards it, I suppose, or like more like, oh, that normalizes it, I guess.
I also think that there's like a weird morbid curiosity part to this as well, because like obviously we see the faces and what they look like, but then the other half of this is like the before and after pictures on socials that aren't of famous people. But like if you look at one, suddenly your whole For You page is it, which again makes you think it's like way more prolific than it actually is in reality. And there's definitely a part of like that's kind of the body horror coded bit, like we're fascinated by people that will like, you know, chop themselves up, undergo these procedures that are elective as opposed to necessary.
Definitely.
Break time?
Let's have a break. We're back from the break.
Ba 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 ba.
I've definitely fallen victim to that as well. Like, I remember, like, I was going through, like, a massive hole during lockdown of gastric sleeve surgeries, and people were being, like, influencers about it as well. And I think people are specifically influencers about plastic surgery now. Like, people will be like, oh, here's my before and after, here's what I got done. Let me, like, just take you into my world. Here's, like, me getting a nose job. Here's, like, 5 things you need to know before getting a nose job. Come with me to my nose job surgery in Turkey.
That countdown trend where it's, like, 10 days before, 9 days before,
like, profile
8 days
check-in.
before.
It's crazy, and it does, like, really, like, build an insecurity in you, not just because you want that thing, but also because you can't afford it, or it's not accessible to you. Like, I feel like a lot of plastic surgery isn't accessible to people either because A, they can't afford it, and that's why it becomes like a whole cottage industry that's abroad that's really dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the only thing these figures don't account for is like, yeah, people going to Turkey and that, but also realistically, how much is that adding to it? It can't be that much more.
And then B, fat people can't get plastic surgery because you can't elect to go under general anaesthetic. You can't choose to do that.
Yeah.
So that's another way that people are excluded from it. And then, yeah, it's just that sense of exclusion makes it more, like, what's the word I'm thinking for?
I think it makes also people want to understand it more, because you're like, even if I can't get it, knowing the extent to which it's unachievable for me, like, kind of had some weird validation thing as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, they don't look like that naturally, they only look like it. And I guess there is like a sense of, but also it's just a bit of a Spider-Man, like everyone pointing the gun at each other and they're all the same, because people are now like, oh, well, the Kardashians haven't been open about this for so long and now they are, like, we should be applauding them. Like, I'm sorry, come on. Like, that's like the lowest bar. Why are we applauding them for being honest about something? Like, get
also
a fucking
one thing
life.
as well. One thing.
Well, this is the game they've played for so long as well. Like, admit one thing and it means that you don't have to admit everything else you've done. And I think something else interesting that I found from reading the research that wasn't in the research but just like was there is like Khloe Kardashian 10 years ago said something to Kylie like, oh, you got to open about your lip injections because otherwise people won't trust you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like they usually only admit, apart from boobs, but I feel like boobs are quite removed from this somehow. Because, I don't know, probably because they're such like a sexualized part of the body. They only admit to facial work. And I think that's because it's not something you can change naturally. Like, you can't change your nose shape naturally. You can't change your lip shape. You can't stop your like eyes sagging. You can't stop your skin aging. But they'd never admit to all the body shit they get done, because that has to be like hard earned through exercise and diet and all the other stuff they show.
But that's what I think is interesting. Someone put in one of the TikToks was like pointed out that it's because we're in a culture of like self-improvement, and self-improvement is something you can buy or you can earn.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you aren't on that path to self-improvement, people see you as negatively.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting thought to apply to this.
No, 100%. I think it's 100% true. Like, you see, I stopped watching the Kardashian show probably like 3 seasons ago now. And yeah, so much of it is like they meet up early in the morning in their gyms and they do like personal training together, and they are like talking about what they eat in a day and like discussing the ethics of like feeding their kids sugar. Like, it's very central to celebrity again, and it builds this like false reality that we're all existing under the same parameters when we're not.
Oh my God, they love to be like, I'm just a mom.
Yeah.
I'm just a mom and I'm trying to do like what's best for my kids, and like what's best for my kids is if I'm around longer, so I'm going to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And what's best for my kids is that they don't eat these things.
Yeah.
So I'm setting an example for them by not eating those things. But it's like, those kids are going to grow up so warped.
Well, I think the problem is like, the kids, but we're essentially like all their kids.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing this all the time, and it's building our own warping of what reality is. And like, I think mostly, even though it's like inevitable, I find it depressing that like we are all thinking about how we look so much all the time, 24/7. Like, everything is about how we look, or what that means, or how we can be better at it, or how we can be worse. And it's just like, it's quite miserable, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the notes in the research was a doctor being like, I think there's a rise in plastic surgery because of Zoom.
Yeah,
people
obviously.
are seeing what they look like more.
I think
it's the same with iPhone, same as fucking probably when mirrors were invented.
Everyone's just seeing themselves so much, like it's not the vibe.
Yeah, I can imagine when the fucking disposable camera was invented, everyone was like, this is fucked, everyone's going to be fucked forever.
And I also think it makes the argument of like, beauty rituals are something you do to like for yourself or for self-expression like a lot harder, like when we exist in more like harsh environments of it. Do you know what I mean? Because like, yeah, personally there's still things you can do that are beauty aligned that personally improve your self-worth and confidence, but yeah, it's because we're in such like a warped place with it.
But confidence doesn't mean shit if you're getting your confidence from a place of privilege.
No, that's true.
It's just like the word like empowerment and the girl bossification of these matters that, and I do feel like there's something to be said about like how, I don't know, it's quite difficult to word what I want to say, but it has created this like industry that is largely women like running it and like damaging each other.
Yeah, 100%, but through the lens of patriarchy and men.
But they're doing
yeah,
it
through
girl.
like,
yeah, it's being like lens as girl bossery, like the amount of like fucking lip filler clinics that have like all pink branding and then like all the girls wear like uniform and they do like trending sounds and stuff and make it just like so like a normalized job and then be like, yeah, but I'm a woman who like runs her own business.
This is a massive thing in the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City because one of the main ones, Heather Gay, is like divorced and is like the bad Mormon one basically, but she made her fortune through running injection clinics. So yeah, her whole arc is like, I help women feel their best. I just think we can't even have conversations about what is our best when we're existing under the parameters of like oppression.
Literally.
It's awful.
Let's all burn our bras again.
Oh, and then something else that I thought was so fucking mental in the Kylie Jenner story was that the original girl in her video is like, they're just like the perfect natural shape. What? Natural shape? What does that mean?
They look crazy. Whenever I see her boobs, I'm like, that's a fake tit.
They just mean that it doesn't look like Victoria Beckham's like stuck on beach balls from 2000s.
But of course it doesn't, because surgery's fucking advanced since then.
But surgery is literally making us like redefine what naturality is, like what is natural and like what looks natural. Like we're saying, like people kind of are misappropriating the term natural to mean like not botched. Do you know what I mean? So like with Kris, people are saying it looks so natural because it looks well done. When really, if she looked how she looked natural, a 70-year-old woman, you wouldn't recognise her walking down the street. Like, there's nothing natural about her. And, like, also naturality as, like, a clause is problematic in its own sense. But it's, like, in this wellness, self-improvement pursuit, we are always trying to, like, aim for, that what's natural, what's good for our bodies, what's good for our minds, what it has, like, the least toxins. Obviously, we've talked about how that's a rabbit hole anyway. And this is all getting...
Yeah, it's all getting mixed into the same fucking
it
goo.
as well.
Yeah, I think as well, like, what I found interesting is, like, before all plastic surgery was kind of, like, reported in the media as bad, like, even if, like, someone got, like, work done and it looked good, it looked natural, I'm doing bunny ears, it would still be like, oh my God, look at her facelift. Like, that would have just been all the tabloids regardless. They wouldn't have been like, she has de-aged herself by 20 years. It would just be like, who does she think she is? Mutton dresses lamb.
Yeah.
Like, the language around it now has, like, normalised plastic surgery to the point where we, like, celebrate good plastic surgery.
It's because of the normalization of it.
Yeah.
And also because, there's like an increased access of the middle classes and especially the media classes of these like tweakments and stuff like this.
And they're not even fucking getting it.
No.
Based on the statistics.
I feel like that was like such a wake-up call for me because I would say that like possibly, I would assume with having no actual concrete evidence apart from the people that have told me, that like 3/4 of the people I encounter in real life have had something done.
Surgical or...
No, like treatment, like filler, Botox, something, just something.
I guess most people haven't even had a facial in their lives.
No, I haven't.
To be serious.
Yeah. It's such a privilege and like so expensive and like, and I think... especially also with skincare being so normalized, like for everyone across the board, we've kind of forgot that like when we were teenagers, there was so much discourse around, well, skincare obviously doesn't even work because otherwise like they wouldn't be able to give it to you like over the counter. And like I remember that just being the whole thing of like my mum trying out so many different creams, but then it's really like none of it can actually work. Now that's just completely out the window. Like we accept this false reality of celebrities and influencers telling us that these things will make us look better in bunny ears, because we need to accept that falsehood in order to like feel like we're doing something to self-improve again.
I don't want to self-improve.
No, I want
improved.
to be... No. I'm perfect.
I'm optimised.
I am optimised.
And I'm fully optimised. I can't improve on this. Can't improve on perfection.
No, you can't.
It's just difficult language as well, because like what you're trying to be like your best self, but a lot of people don't have the capacity to be their best self in bunny years.
Why do we even give a fuck what our best self is? Like, can we not just like exist for a bit?
Yeah, honestly.
Be bad, good, and middle all the time. Like, why are we constantly trying to improve and improve? And what if I'm just fine?
I think it's really linked to gym bro culture as well, which a couple of the tweets have brought up, which has always like relied on that language of health and self-improvement to get things across the line, like steroid use, like Huel, like really disordered eating. And that's kind of bled now into how women talk about themselves as well. Like gym culture kind of like took body positive language to talk about being like an optimal gym person, and then that's gone over across now to like feminist women doing the same thing about practices that they also know aren't feminist in any way.
I completely agree.
Fuck them men, they've started it.
They started everything.
They have started everything.
They've literally started everything.
Is there any hope?
No. What's the Fiona Apple quote? Like when it was like, wait.
There's no hope for women, no hope for women, no hope for women. I keep coming back to when we did, I can't remember what episode we were talking about it, but you were like, it's going to flip. It's going to be...
I don't believe it. It wasn't our podcast. It was when we went on Fat Mascara, and they were saying like, oh yeah, how will the normalization of cosmetic surgery like change how we age? And I was like, oh, I think it will become like radical to not do any of it. But after seeing these figures, realistically, no one's fucking doing it anyway. So yeah, it will be like we see it with Pamela Anderson, yeah, with like the no makeup thing. Like that's seen as radical. She clearly has work done, like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of that thesis in action, like a woman rejecting beauty standards, looking her age. She still doesn't look her age. Like, I'm not saying she's ugly or whatever. Like, obviously she looks amazing. She looks incredible. She's had a facelift. Like, but after seeing these things, yeah, nothing's going to change. Just like, we're going to be able to go, oh, that's a povo person. Oh, that's a middle class person. Oh, that's a rich people person, from how they age on a spectrum.
Well, I think even the class system should start factored in, like the influencer class.
Yeah. Because also that's where probably most of these injections are being like sold down the line. Like it's from not even Kylie Jenner, it's from like this Rachel Levy who originally made the post, or like the Love Island girls or whatever. They're the people that you see and go, oh, if they can do it, that means I could go and get it done as well.
Yeah, this like relatability of people who are, you've seen change during that process, but we have to see that change of the process of them becoming famous as not aspirational or realistic. Like that's something that happens when someone gets into lots of money and changes what class they are and changes like their level of fame.
It's really like dystopian.
It is.
Like very Hunger Games vibes.
Very
Uglies vibes.
Do you like Uglies?
When I was a teenager, yeah. Absolutely lived for it.
You watched the film, I don't know.
I did, yeah. It was so bad. Well, of course I did. I watched anything. Yeah, it was terrible. I'd like to see a second one, though.
I think it's hard because we try and have like media that's trying to criticize this stuff, and it always just like doesn't land.
I think because we live in it as well. Because like, for example, when we had those books, when it was actually like 15 years ago or whatever, that did seem like a far off future. We basically exist in it now, apart from we don't have like the flying hoverboards.
Is that the bit you're missing?
Yeah, where's the fun stuff? You say that all the time. Like, we're in the future and there's none of the good parts of it.
There's literally none of the good parts of it.
Instead, we're getting like AI made films. Again, another thing that's being girl boss this week.
Where's my fucking steel dog?
Exactly. Where's my cat with thumbs that can go to the shop for me?
Where's my fucking wardrobe where's my Mackies that I can chuck in the microwave?
Where's my TV? Where can I reach into the TV and get the food that's being advertised to me?
That's not dystopian, that's Willy Wonka.
Yeah, but it's still... Willy Wonka is quite dystopian.
Utopian.
I guess. Yeah, I want the good bits. Can people put their money into doing that instead?
You're right about Natasha Lyonne, though.
What?
She's also using the girl boss.
Yeah, she's girl bossing AI.
Why can we all just stop girl bossing everything?
And you know, did you see? So Natasha Lyonne is making a AI animation film, and she said she's using the first ethical AI model where all the artists have given consent for their work to be used to generate the AI. And then she's gone and said David Lynch told her it was fine before he died, which is the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life.
Thing is, David Lynch told me it's fine for me to get a lip filler.
David Lynch told me that I'm actually really good at everything, so you can't tell me anything.
Tell me nothing.
And then she did this interview with for Poker Face Press with Ryan Johnson. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Where she's like, I really want to try and do her voice, but I can't. Go on, G.
No, I can't do it.
Where she's like, I was Darth Vader. I'm like, women, God bless.
That's the thing. People are like, women can't win. Women can't win in these situations.
So, well, stop doing fucking loser shit then. Like,
but also like, women can't win in situations where you're being the bad person. Yeah, sure. Of course you can't win because you're being a knob.
No one can win. It's not.
If you're being ethically sound, then I think everyone would be like, you win.
Yeah,
people will still criticize you, but you can live with yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not Darth Vader. I saw such a funny tweet, which was just like, when's everyone going to admit that she's putting on the accent?
Oh, no, I know. It's like, well, I still like Natasha Lyonne, which that accent was obviously fake. Well, I think that's it.
That's it, we're doomed, or that's it, the episode's over?
Both
of these nuts.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Ione.
Thank you to Charlotte for sound teching, Zakia for the research, and Olivia for edit, and all of you for listening.
We love you.
We love you.
Bye.